And I'm also going to share my screen so that you can see the presentation for tonight. Before I do share my screen, I just want to say a big welcome to all the boys who are able to join us tonight as well. It's really exciting when you start a new school, boys, and tonight's, I suppose, the first official meeting you've had with me apart from your enrolment interview. And so I'm really pleased to see a lot of you again. And although this sort of format gives me flashbacks to online learning, some good, some not so good, I'm glad to see you all. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so can everybody see that first slide there? It should say Junior School 2022 Information Evening. All right. And can everybody still see me talking? Yep, okay, great. All right, wonderful. Well, we'll go from here. So as I said, welcome to tonight, and hopefully you find this session as informative as possible. You should have all received a pack in the mail. If you didn't receive that, it would have looked a bit like the one I'm holding here. It would have come in the mail, and it had different information in there about tonight, bus information, information about uniforms, and it had a little booklet with other helpful information as well. Okay, so let me know if you didn't get one of those, and we can chase it up tomorrow with Rachel for you. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Miss Bridget Cusack now, who's going to run us through acknowledgement of country and prayer for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I'd like to start first of all by welcoming you all and acknowledging country. I would like to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, and pay respect to the elders of the Ngunnawal Nation, both past and present. I extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in attendance today. Welcome, future parents, guardians and students of St Edmunds College 2022. Thank you so much for joining our St Edmunds community. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." So tonight we are asking you to take that first step in your new educational journey. To make this easier, I have consulted the experts, who are the current junior school students, analysed the data, and have compiled the following advice. Focus on the positives. You will enjoy yourself. Do not be afraid to ask for any help. Have fun and get involved. St Edmunds does what a school is supposed to do. What is that? Teach you stuff. Listen, respect everyone. Everyone is a potential friend. Get your work done so that you don't miss recess and lunch. Teachers are really important. Treat them right. Don't be nervous. Teachers don't bite. Always have your socks pulled up and your shirt tucked in. Never lie to a teacher because they always find out. Particularly Mr. Kelly and Mr. Bell know absolutely everything. Don't scream in the stairwell or the toilets. Tell a teacher if you're not feeling safe or having a problem. They can fix anything. They have superpowers. Usually tonight, gentlemen, you would receive a Celtic cross, which looks a little bit like this. Sorry, a Celtic cross. And this Celtic cross, gentlemen, signifies that you are now part of our St Edmunds College community and you are now an Eddie's boy. This cross we will now receive when you start with us next year. This cross says that you are now an Eddie's boy. It means hope, honour and faith. Qualities that Eddie's boys display and live out every day. On the grass at the front of the college, there is a Celtic cross which serves as a symbol that binds the St Edmunds College community together and welcomes you boys to us. So we always begin our meetings at St Edmunds with a prayer. So we start with the sign of the cross in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we ask your blessing upon these fine young men of St Edmunds' future. We pray that you will be their guide, support, and inspire them as they make positive and significant contributions to the St Edmunds College community. And at St Edmunds, we end our prayer with saying, Blessed Edmund Rice, and we ask him to pray for us. He is the founder of the Christian Brothers and the guide that we live by. And then we also say, live Jesus in our hearts forever. So we ask in Jesus to come and be with us. So in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cusack. So I did promise you a video from Mr. Zavoni. So if you can hear and see this, you might need to turn your volume up slightly for this one. Just see how you go with how it sounds. Okay, I'm just going to move this out a bit. All right, here we go.
Good evening and welcome to St Edmund's College. My name is Joe Zavoni, the principal of the college, and I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you this evening. I've met most of you already, and I hope to meet all of you at some stage next year, early next year, when we begin our time together. Can I start by thanking all of you for choosing St Edmund's College for your son's education, whether you are new parents with us for the first time or continuing with us from the junior school. Saying thank you for choosing us for your son's education means quite a few things, because we do much, much more than educating your son academically. That is, of course, our core business, but we educate your son in so many different ways, and we do this with you, our partners in your son's education. We hope that we educate your son to do the very best that he can in the classroom, but also the very best that he can on the sports field, the best that he can on stage and in the rehearsal room, the best that he can in serving others through our peace and justice initiatives, the best that he can in developing right relationships with his friends, his teachers, his fellow students, and those in the wider community. And of course, the best that he can in being an Eddie's boy and everything that comes with that. Our vision at the college is to continue to create a college environment where we have a vibrant spirit, where we have boys developing a strong character, and where we tailor learning to meet the needs of our students. We are very proud to continue the tradition of Blessed Edmund Rice, who works tirelessly in providing the best education and life skills to the youth of Waterford in Ireland in the early 18th century. We are proud to continue the work and the tradition of the Christian Brothers founded by Blessed Edmund Rice, and in particular, the work of Brother Ambrose Tracy, who was sent to Australia in the late 19th century to establish a series of Christian Brother schools across the country. And we are proud to continue to serve Canberra and its surrounding regions as the oldest continuing Catholic school in Canberra. And of course, we do this as the Catholic school every day, inspired by the life and the words and the actions of Jesus Christ. So again, thank you for being with us, especially as we commence the next stage of your son's educational journey. I'm sure you'll find tonight useful and informative, and please ask our staff members as many questions as possible, so next year commences with good knowledge and a good deal of confidence. So thank you, have a good night, and best wishes.
Okay, so I did want to introduce the staff. Usually we would introduce them in person, but tonight they're just going to be photos on your screen. So obviously you've met Mr. Zavoni here, who's the school principal. So boys, he's my boss and he's the principal of the whole school, okay? My job, this is me here, my job is to look after the boys and the teachers in years 4 to 6, so our junior school. This lovely young man here is Mr. DeFronzo. He's a year 4 teacher. Okay, so he's one of our year 4 teachers. Then we have Miss Cusack, who you've met during our prayer and acknowledgement of country. And Miss Cusack has an important role in religious education in the junior school, but she also does a lot of work around formation and particularly formation of our leaders, our Year 6 leaders. We have Mr. Bell here, who also teaches in Year 5. Miss James is on our Year 4 teaching team. Mr. Roberts is going to be on our Year 6 teaching team. Mr. Roberts is also the first 15 rugby union coach, so he's quite busy, but he does love teaching in the junior school. We have Miss Leffers, who teaches Japanese to our junior school. We have Mr. O'Rourke, who teaches in Year 6, and Miss Roach, who teaches in Year 6. And onto our third screen, we have Mr. Rutter, another of our Year 4 teachers. Mr. Zarb, who teaches specialist classes in coding and IT. We have our junior school sports master or sports coordinator, which is Mr. Denzel Fox. And we also have Mrs. Miller here, who many of you might have met at enrolment interview. Mrs. Miller looks after all of our students who have learning needs. And this is Mrs. Thomas, who may join us later to discuss the instrumental program at school. And Mrs. Thomas is our music coordinator. So Mr. Zavoni mentioned about the school vision for a vibrant spirit, strong character and tailored learning. And as someone who's worked here for a number of years, I can honestly say that these three things really are at the core of what we try and push with the boys every day. And we try and provide for the boys programs that help, I suppose, them grow in these areas. Often we get questions about the junior school curriculum layout or how it kind of interacts with the high school program or perhaps the school where boys have come from. So just to give you a little look at the model, you can see there that we have a class teacher at the core of everything in Years 4 to 6. And then the class teacher will look after a lot of the major subjects there, and you can see them. But then the boys will go out for specialist classes in library, PE, languages, music, and technologies. The technologies does include IT, and it also includes like woodwork, for example, so design technologies. The languages, I might get a question about languages. We have Japanese in junior school in Years 4 and 6. And in Year 5, we give boys a taste of Italian. Interestingly, that came along since Mr. Zavoni's been principal. So we like to give boys a little taste of that. So essentially, a lot of the boys will interact with these specialist teachers who may well teach in high school as well. And so it's a nice, I suppose, thing that they get to get used to different staff at school, and they can see different people or different adults around the corridors and start to make connections from as young as 9 years old. So I think that's fantastic. So that's the main sort of model for junior school. I think it's a nice bridge between traditional primary schools and traditional high schools, where boys are given a little bit of freedom moving to classes as they move through and up the years in junior school. We also have quite a big transition period in Year 6, where we ask Year 6 boys on rotation to do some important jobs out of our main reception in terms of doing student running of notices and things like that. And that's all there basically to give them experience finding rooms around the high school that they'll have to get used to in Year 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I should mention, we do follow the Australian curriculum here at St Edmunds. So all of these subjects, we follow the Australian curriculum. You would have got in your pack a statement of Eddie's Pride. And so that's a really important guiding document that we use across the school Years 4 to 12. But in junior school, we particularly use it to reinforce expectations around desired behaviours of our boys. And if you do read them, they are excellent. And we find that basically anything can be tied back to this statement of Eddie's Pride. So it's written in a positive manner, and we try and deal with any sort of behaviours that we're trying to help students grow. We try and deal with a restorative practice sort of model and talk to boys about choices and why they might have made those choices and what can be done to achieve some sort of resolution from any incidents that take place. So The boys become very familiar with this, particularly if they start in year 4, but even in year 5 and 6, we do use this sort of language all the time with the boys. Okay. Just in terms of behaviour, so obviously when you get a lot of boys together, they do appreciate knowing where the boundaries are. And so I think we do a really good job of reminding boys about the boundaries and what they're allowed to do within reason. And if they do make a mistake, I think we're quite good at talking to them about what happened and also talking to parents about what happened. Okay, so we do have a very good culture in the junior school of phoning up parents if we do have an incident at school, and that would be on the day of the incident, unless that wasn't possible. And if teachers are teaching all day, even though the preferred method of communication in junior school is to phone home, there might be an email saying, I'll try and call you tomorrow about it, but this is basically what happened. Okay, and we're willing to talk to any parent about any issue to get a resolution. We understand that it takes a team to help young boys as they're growing through into young adolescence. Speaking of young adolescents, they do need help with organisation, and so we have a school diary. This one here has a white cover on your screen, but actually the one that your son will get next year will be a blue one like this. Okay, and it sort of contains a lot of useful information at the start, but it's also got a little bit of wellbeing activities and things like that that we sometimes use in our formation time here at school. And the boys are encouraged to use the diary, and parents do need to sign the diary. So teachers will be quite explicit with their instructions around use of the diary. And we find that boys potentially, even though they could get away with an online diary, maybe in year 6, when our BYOD program starts, we find that the hard copy diary helps our boys stay organised and get all their notes home and things in on time. As well as tracking academic achievement, we do track effort here at St Edmunds, and that's basically to avoid anyone getting away with cruising. And so if we notice a drop in effort, we will actually contact parents to make sure that we can talk about why there's been a drop in effort, and we track that from junior school right up to the year 12s. Homework club, I do have a couple of questions that have come through about the co-curricular program, which I'm happy to answer at the end if I don't cover it during the presentation. But part of an offering we have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years is homework club. And so some parents find this useful so that there's no battle at home about the homework, and the 2 hours without distraction at school sometimes can save time down the track, because homework completed at home sometimes can have distractions. So it's available every Tuesday and Wednesday in the library after school for an hour, and boys parents need to book in for that to occur with the teacher who's coordinating the homework club. Okay, so basically there'll be a teacher on site in the library to help boys with their homework, and that's available twice a week. Usually starts in about week 2 or 3 of the first term, and it usually doesn't operate in week 10 of each term, just so you're aware. So it coincides with homework. We do have quite a focus on literacy and numeracy in the junior school, but literacy is a major focus for us. And so we do have dedicated writing time. We do have dedicated reading time. So every day, the boys will have an opportunity to read. So we encourage them to borrow books that interest them, and that's covered in library lessons that they have. But every day with their class teacher, they will actually have dedicated reading time. And just a message for those boys who are coming next year: if you've dropped off your reading or whatever, you might have got a bit distracted by remote learning or something this year, keep it up, boys, because it does matter, and every little bit counts. Even if it's 5 or 10 minutes at night before you go to sleep, can be it really builds up over time, and your reading and comprehension improves as a result. And then also you can write more interesting stories down the track. So timings of the college, these are pretty accurate, I think. Just one thing about the timing. So 8:45 is the start of the day. We actually have someone on duty in the quad from 8:10. So if you do work somewhere nearby or not so nearby and you need to drop your son off at 8:10 in the morning, then that is okay. We do have teachers on duty in the quadrangle. You can see most of the times there on your screen. Just note that recess and lunch, we do actually give our junior school boys different times to access the canteen, and they don't play near the high school boys. So we kind of, we do interact with the high school boys in different buddy sessions and things like that, but we try and avoid recess and lunch interacting too much. So where the boys play, they have access to 6 basketball kind of courts, and they also have access to a large oval and some seated area under shade. So there's plenty of space for our junior school, and then there's a whole oval in between that's not used, and then year 7 to 10 have access to 2 ovals up the top. And as I said, slightly different bell times for recess and lunch just to avoid any canteen clashes. In your pack, you would have got information about uniform and fittings for this term. If you ring that number that's on the sheet there to talk to the uniform shop, they'll be able to book you into a fitting. If you already know your sizes for your son, you can order online, that's okay, or by phoning up. And the only day that they do over-the-counter sales where you can come in without having a booking is the Wednesday session. So I think they're open Monday and Friday mornings. I think it's 8 till 12 or something like that. And then I think it's 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but slightly different operating times. Just check your notes if you're not sure. There are a few COVID-safe guidelines to follow if you are coming into the uniform shop as well. So our school has quite a few platforms that you will, 3 main platforms that you'll interact with during your time here, either as a student or a parent. And I've got a video here from Margie Ma, who is our Assistant Principal of ICT and Innovation. So I'm going to play that for you now. She covers the 3 main interfaces and what you need to know about that. She'll also mention our BYOD program, which starts for students in year 6. So boys in year 6 do need to have a laptop at St Edmunds. Okay, I'll play this video for you now.
Good evening, my name's Margaret Ma and I'm going to talk to you about our IT systems and provide some general information about our Bring Your Own Device program. The college has 3 main IT systems. The Eddie's Dashboard, which serves as a portal to access all of our other IT systems. Canvas, which is our learning management system. And the Parent Portal, which provides parents with access to term reports and allows parents to book interviews with teachers. The first system I want to talk to you about tonight is the Eddie's Dashboard. The Eddie's Dashboard is the best place to go if you quickly want to access all of our other systems. It also includes important information relating specifically to things that are occurring at school, as well as provides you with instant access to your son's timetable. So when you firstly click on the Eddie's Dashboard, you notice straight away that you've got links to Canvas, to the portal, there's a link to the school website. Includes communication, so that includes emails that have been sent home in recent weeks. There's the whole school calendar is accessible through here. And most importantly, there's information relating specifically to your sons. Now in this instance, we can see that this parent has 2 students attending St Edmunds. And when we click on those students, one of those students, you'll be able to find out more information about what is actually occurring in terms of their daily activities. Once you click on the image of your son, you're then able to access more information. You can quickly see the 10-day timetable. You're able to see the daily notices. Again, you can see the calendar. And just be aware though that if you click on that green assignments button, you'll actually see the assignments for each year group, so you can get an overview of what assessment is due. You can explain absences here. So if your son is away, you can go straight into the portal and you can go in and click and explain any absences. Most importantly, you can actually create your canteen orders through this dashboard. So clicking on that widget will then open up the canteen window where you can place orders for the week or just for the next day. A great feature of the dashboard is the fact that you can quickly access information relating to your son's teachers, and by clicking on any one of those images, it will open up and email link, so you can quickly use the dashboard to contact your son's teachers. The joy of the dashboard doesn't just end there. When you scroll down, you also find lots of exciting information relating to academic progress. So you can get an overview of how your son has been performing. You can see if they have been given any awards, such as the gold awards or silver awards, which relate specifically to academic progress. And there is also a house points tally. The next system I want to talk to you about is Canvas. Canvas is our learning management system. When you log into Canvas, you'll instantly see all of the courses that your son is enrolled in. By clicking on any of those images, it will take you to the content for that course. Canvas is used extensively throughout the college. This is our primary mechanism for delivering our curriculum, so it's really important that you regularly log on to Canvas so that you can see when assessments are due, you can see what work is occurring in the classroom, but most importantly, you can access feedback on how your son has been progressing on class tasks and on assessments. We run training for parents on how to navigate Canvas, and that usually occurs quite early in the term, so please watch out for that at the start of next year. The last system I want to quickly talk to you about tonight is the Parent Portal. The Parent Portal is our platform that holds all of our school reports. It's a place where you can go in and actually update details that relate specifically to any medical conditions that your son may have. It is where you can access, as mentioned, your school reports. You can access old reports. You can also use the Parent Portal to book parent-teacher interviews when those are being held throughout the year. I'd just like to finish up tonight by going through some general information about our Bring Your Own Device program. So things to be aware of. Firstly, you do not need to actually buy any Microsoft Office software when you're purchasing the device. The Microsoft applications can be downloaded as part of our licensing arrangements that we already have in place. So all you need to do is to buy the device and then bring it into school, and we'll help your son download any of the products that he needs. We do encourage you to buy virus protection just to ensure that the device is kept secure. And you may like to consider buying a device through the JB Hi-Fi portal. You can access the portal through the school website. There is information about how you can do that in your information pack. And just to finish up, you do not need to spend a whole lot of money on your son's device. He may think otherwise, but that is not the case. You simply need a machine that is robust, that will run all of the Office products, that will enable them to do some basic digital editing as well as to access the internet. Your sons will be engaged with products in the shop, but they can access that on our school machines. So if you're not sure, you're worried about which device best suits, please feel free to contact me and I'll happily provide any advice that you may need. Thank you.
Okay, so Margie just mentioned there our BYD program at the end. So just a reminder that starts in year 6. In year 4 and 5, we have IT equipment here for the boys to use whenever they've got a lesson that needs it. Okay. I didn't mention homework before, but I probably should. So just so you are aware, each year group at St Edmunds does do homework. It can be different to what boys are used to. Our year 4 teachers are particularly good at getting students ready for that and sort of prepared for that in the first week. But just so you're aware, that is an expectation of the boys who come to St Edmunds. If there's an issue with completing homework because either it's too difficult or there's time constraints at home, I would just encourage you to talk to your son's classroom teacher about that and come up with a plan that's agreed upon. Our next slide here talks about individual programs, and Mrs. Miller, who I did show you a photo of earlier, she looks after all of our programs that help support our boys. Just quickly, we do have literacy and numeracy programs, which approximately 15 to 25% of our boys will be able to access. We do test all of our boys at the start of the year next year, only really to get a little snapshot of the year group and when different needs might lie. We also go off teacher recommendations and parent recommendations if parents think that there's a need in a particular area. So I would encourage you to contact your son's teacher early next year if you think there's an area where we could provide extra support in. So Mrs. Miller also looks after our gifted and talented program, and our gifted and talented program is as varied as the students in that program, and it really is done in consultation with parents, but there's a range of different strategies that we use to help our boys who are identified as gifted and talented. So if that is, you think that your son may benefit from some involvement in that program, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us and we can talk about a pathway for your son. So co-curricular expectations. Many of you have seen the booklet with a lot of the offerings we have for our co-curricular program. It's a very important part of what we do at St Edmunds, and we think it's vital for the boys to create relationships with other adults that aren't maybe their parents or their teacher. It might be an older student. It might be another boy's father or mother. And essentially what it does is it just grows boys' confidence and connection to the school. And it can be in a range of different activities. We just ask that boys do one thing for the college. It does not have to be a sport. It could be anything from any of the activities you see on the following slides. So you can see there we have debating, cultural club, which is like a languages program, STEAM, which is a very, very popular program we have here. I think we had over maybe nearly half of the junior school students in our STEAM program this year, which includes robotics. We have chess club, we have garden club. There is an exciting club which we're trying to get off the ground next year, which involves cards. So if you think your son might be keen to get involved in cards and tricks, and different sort of magic, we're going to explore that as well. We also have sporting co-curriculars, and you can see there in summer, we have basketball and cricket, in winter, basketball, football, which is soccer, rugby union, and snow sports. Just a quick one on snow sports, so you're aware, unless your son is heavily into skiing, it really doesn't commence until high school, like some of the other more riskier activities like mountain biking. Just in terms of co-curricular, I did get a question today just via email about timings of trainings and which days different sports are on. It's really difficult to say that for some sports, this far out from the season. But essentially what we try to do with junior school, because we have debating on a Tuesday, we have homework club on a Tuesday and Wednesday. We have most sports trainings on a Wednesday afternoon in junior school. Thursday we have STEAM club, and Friday we have chess club. So a lot of our musical co-curriculars will occur in the mornings. The only tricky one that we find is a little bit hard to place is the basketball, because there's only one indoor court. So basketball trainings do tend to happen when the coach is free or when the gym is free. So basketball is a little hard to say when that training would be this far out. But generally, junior school sports train on a Wednesday. For very keen coaches who are available, we may open up a second training for some sports on a Monday afternoon, but we don't have any teachers available to supervise activities on a Monday afternoon, which is why that doesn't have a set co-curricular occurring on the Monday afternoon. Okay. All those activities go straight after school and they finish at 4:30 p.m. Except for some sports sessions, like I said, if we have really keen coaches, sometimes they go a bit longer than that. I'm not sure if Mrs. Thomas is here. Mrs. Thomas, are you online today? Okay, maybe not. So if I talk a little bit about our bands and our choirs. So junior school have a singing blues choir, which is quite popular and really nice to see them. Before COVID sort of came, we do tend to go to some of the aged care and different things around here to sing, and they also perform at assemblies and presentations for us. We have a school musical and a school cabaret every second year, so they flip about, and we have had great involvement from our junior school students the last couple of years. So I would encourage anyone who's into performing to get involved in our college musical for next year. And we do have junior and senior band. And we also have private tuition group lessons for if you are interested in your son learning an instrument or continuing his learning of an instrument. The pack is state of the art and has 5 studios down there for lessons, and it's placed alongside Owen's Oval and under the hall. Important dates for next year. So we will get a chance to meet in person, hopefully, as things open up and as we're allowed to have a bit more freedom with who comes into school and that sort of thing. So on Monday, 31st of January, that's the day before school starts for us. We have for an hour. What I'd like you to do is boys can come into school. You do not need to wear school uniform that day. And I'd like you to bring a parent or a carer, because what happens is we all come and meet, and then I send you off with your teachers and I speak to mum or dad here at school about some of the things we've talked about tonight, but maybe some other logistics to get us through the first month or so of school. Okay, so that's a really important day. And then we have the next day, which is summer uniform. You've got to wear your school uniform, and that's a normal school day. So remember that school starts at 8:45 and we would meet in the main quad. Okay, so there'll be boys there to help you on the day, but we meet in the main quad, and that will start with an assembly for the whole school. And then they'll probably have a separate assembly for junior school students. Okay, and that Wednesday, the 9th of February there that you can see, 6 till 7, that's actually an introduction to new families. And so we'd encourage all parents to come to that, and boys to come and meet some other families, and Mr. Zvoni and different teaching staff that you'll come across over the years that you're involved with the college. We really encourage you to come along to that. So to summarise, it was really good to meet with you this evening. You can be sure that we're going to provide a lot of structure for your son here at St Edmunds. There's lots of support, high expectations, plenty of opportunities, and we really value communication. We know that's vital. So I'd encourage everybody to keep checking the Junior School News, which is an article that comes out each week. And there's also an article from the principal every week that comes out on a Wednesday. Okay, it's called The Vortex. So that pretty much brings to the end the formal part of the evening. But I did want to spend some time answering some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And then if you'd like to ask a question, I'd just encourage you to pop it into the chat, and I'll see if I can scroll through and get to them if possible. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. I did have a question while people are thinking about a question. I did have a question about when the library was open that came through on email. So the library, the junior school library, is open at lunchtimes, the second half of every lunch. We do have quite a few boys who like to spend time in the library, which is great, but we do want boys to spend some time outside also. So every lunchtime, the second half, the library is open. And on Tuesday, it's called Tech Free Tuesday, so there's no access to the computers. It's just board games or quiet reading or chatting in a corner. Okay, so that's the library opening hours. The high school library does have different opening hours, and they've got a few more staff up there that are in there as well. Okay, when will teachers find out when will parents find out what teachers you have? Good question. So you should have already found out what house your son is in via the letter that you received in the pack. If you notice any issue with the house allocation, can you let us know? Just get in contact with Rachel or me, and we will sort that out. In terms of finding out your teacher, class lists are kind of being done right now and finalised, and you will get a letter probably at the end of this year, either in December or the start of January, about your son's teacher for next year. Okay, so that's when that'll come out. That'll come out in a letter. Do we have come and try day for the co-curriculars? Not generally. They don't really have come and try days, but if you wanted to, there's no harm in asking a sports coordinator, someone who's running a sport, if they wouldn't mind if your son came along to try. So that's no problem. I look after cricket this season, and I've had boys who've just come along to try and then we've been able to pop them into a team. That's no problem. So we're all about participation at St Edmunds. So the more boys we can have participating in our co-curriculars, the better. Now someone's asked a little bit about the buddy program, which is great. I might actually pass over to Miss Cusack, because she's an expert in the buddy program, and she can take you through that.
The buddy program runs in a program that we have called Formation, and Formation runs this year, has run on a Friday. Whether that's the same next year, I'm not sure, but it'll run in one period throughout the week. And this year we have buddied up the Year 4s with the Year 12 leaders, and we have buddied up Year 5 with Year 12, and then Year 6 with Year 12. So Year 12 have a buddy right through from Year 4 to Year 6. And that's how we work that out. Next year, we're also looking at our junior school leaders. There are 10 junior school leaders, 4 leaders of the junior school and 1 for each house. And there's 6 houses. And so next year we're looking at those leaders, maybe buddying up with the Year 4s or any new boy in junior school, just so that they have a junior school buddy as well as a buddy in Year 12.
Okay, I suppose there's a lot of other informal mentoring that occurs as well. We do have quite a number of our senior students who like to coach junior teams. And so often that can be a great mentoring opportunity. Okay, so when do we decide about the co-curricular? Good question. So we do put out a form, the previous few years we put out a form to parents at the start of the year. And basically you just have a look at the booklet, see what you'd like to pick. Now it's not foolproof because we ask parents to pick for the entire year, and then circumstances change. Maybe your son loses interest in cricket over that time, and that's okay. You just need to let us know at the time prior to the commencement of the season. But for example, if you wanted to choose, debating or STEAM and rugby, there'll be a chance in early February for you to make the choices along with your son to suit your circumstances and sort of passions. Okay, so that's how that works. Can you join at a later date if you made a mistake and you wish you joined one? Absolutely, that's no problem. So we can sort that out. The only issue that sometimes happens with late registrations to co-curriculars is if we've got awkward numbers for teams, and adding another person is just going to cause too much rotation of players or causing people to miss too much game time. So that would be a case-by-case basis. We have had boys who've just joined us for trainings as well. That has happened in the past. Okay, so yes, so we have uniforms for PE. We have PE uniforms, and on those days that the boys have PE, they can wear their PE uniform to and from school. We do have a normal formal school uniform, which is a bit more like a collared thing, and dress shorts and that sort of thing. And it's different for summer and winter. Usually at this night, I would have that on display for you. So I apologise, I haven't got a picture of it, although I do have the front of that booklet, which shows some of it. Okay. The boys in junior school don't have a blazer, just so you know. And if you're one of those fortunate people to live in the country and your son waits at a bus stop on those freezing mornings, you'll be pleased to know that Mr. Zavoni has added a nice warm jacket to the clothing options that you can buy. Okay. Just so you're aware, day 10 at the moment, which is every second Friday, we do have a sports day, and we ask boys to wear their PE uniforms to and from school on that day as well, in addition to days when they have PE, which is another 3 days a fortnight. How many classes are there in Year 5? We have 2 classes in Year 5 next year. Is there a spec sheet for the requirement details for BYOD? Yes, if you go onto our school website, there is a technical, I think there's a link to technical requirements. As Margie said in the video, it really just needs, at this age, for Year 6 or Year 7 or right up to Year 9, it really needs to just have basic word processing, be able to access, the internet. You do not need to spend much And when I've asked Margie in the past whether people should spend over $500, she said that is absolutely not necessary. So just be aware that it doesn't, the only thing that she suggests is not to have Chromebooks. And I think as someone who teaches in the IT area, she just has a preference for other things. One bit of feedback I have had from Year 6 teachers is that any of the issues that they run into tend to be with the Macs, the Apple Macs. So if you were tossing up between a Windows type thing and an Apple, then maybe opt for the Windows option, okay? Unless you really love Apple, okay? Now, is there certain times for defence families? Yeah, so we have a defence mentor, a position at the school who looks after all of the boys who are in our part of our defence families, and we've got quite a large number of defence families at St Edmunds. We have quite a number of ceremonies throughout the year that promote our defence families, and we also have I think we have daily activities that boys can access with our defence transition mentor, which boys can access and so they feel like they belong to a group as well here at school. Is there a church? Yes, we have a chapel here at school, and mass runs every week. This year it was on a Thursday morning prior to school, and boys are welcome to attend, staff are welcome to attend, and we even have staff and students from across the road at St Clair's attend at different times. 4 major masses at the school will either set up the hall or we'll walk down to St Christopher's and Monica. Okay, so I'm just getting a few notes here about not receiving packs. So I'm just going to have a look at that. Maybe Amanda's iPhone, if you could write your son's name for us. Now, Phoebe mentioned we heard there are changes to the basketball competition. Can you confirm if there will be a summer season that Year 4 can play in? So basketball has had an odd, I'd say, 14 months. They made a decision last year to just run a winter competition, and then they backflipped on that and said, no, we're going to have a summer social competition. And I just think with the 2 lockdowns, they've been kind of a little bit chaotic with their decision making. We have currently some teams that are training and playing in a competition, but I don't think there'll be a proper summer comp. I think it'll just start fresh in winter that Year 4 will play in. Hopefully, basketball ACT make a decision to go back to how they had it in about 2019 when they had a full winter and a full summer comp. Okay, how many students going to Year 4 next year? So we'll have two classes of Year 4, and they look like they'll be approximately 20 students in each class. But we can get enrolments over summer. Okay. How often will they need to wear sports uniform a week? So 3 times a fortnight, plus 1 more, so 2 times a week, essentially. Yep, I'm just wondering if Amanda's iPhone, if you could mention your son's name in the chat, just so I can chase up a pack for you. Okay. Are the boys able to use the library after school? Not the junior school library. So the junior school library is usually used for co-curricular activities after school, and so they can't just be there in the library. Thanks, Amanda. Okay, right. Was there any other questions anyone had to pop into the chat? If not, we might finalise things there. Thank you again for your attendance this evening. And if you did want to hang back to ask something, more personally.